Have you ever looked around and wondered why so many people, smart, capable, hardworking people, stay broke, stuck, and miserable their entire lives? Why is it that despite living in a time of unlimited opportunity, the majority still struggle paycheck to paycheck, feel trapped in unfulfilling routines, and silently question if life ever gets better? Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not luck, it's not fate, and it's certainly not a lack of potential. It's patterns, it's mindset, and it's choices, repeated, unchecked, and often inherited. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why most people never break free from this invisible prison. And if you stick with me until the end, you'll walk away with clarity, insight, and perhaps the wake-up call you've been needing. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about comfort. Most people stay broke, not because they want to suffer, because they fear discomfort more than they desire freedom. Growth demands pain. It requires long nights, early mornings, rejection, failure, risk, and discipline. It asks you to leave behind everything familiar and walk into the unknown with faith. But comfort, it's warm, it's easy, it's predictable, and it's deadly. See, when you're too comfortable, you stop reaching, you stop stretching, you settle. You learn to make peace with mediocrity because it's not that bad. But not that bad is a trap. It's the slow, silent killer of dreams. Over time, comfort leads to complacency, and complacency guarantees stagnation. Now let's address the mindset of limitation. Most people were never taught how powerful they really are. Instead, they were raised in environments where survival was the goal, not success. They were told to play it safe, to not ask for too much, to just get a good job and be thankful. And so, they internalized this idea. Who am I to dream big? People like me don't get rich. This is just how life is. And here's the kicker. The mind will always find a way to prove itself right. If you believe you're stuck, you'll act stuck. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll sabotage yourself every time you start to rise. The cycle becomes self-fulfilling. The solution? Awareness. You can't escape a prison you don't even realize you're in. Let's talk about money, why people stay broke. It's not just a lack of money, it's a lack of financial education. School taught us to memorize facts, pass exams, and follow rules. But it didn't teach us how money works. It didn't teach us how to budget, invest, build wealth, or understand compound interest. So people go into the world with no tools and wonder why they can't build. They chase higher salaries but never change their habits. They inflate their lifestyle every time they get a raise. They fall into debt traps, pay interest instead of earning it, and confuse looking rich with being wealthy. But the truth is, becoming financially free has less to do with how much you make and everything to do with how you think, save, invest, and delay gratification. Which leads us to the next point. Short-term thinking. Most people want fast results. They want the six-pack without the sweat, the success without the struggle, the payday without the process. They've been conditioned by social media, advertising, and the instant gratification culture to expect quick wins. But anything that lasts, wealth, health, purpose, peace, takes time. Real growth is boring. It's repetition. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. The reason most people stay stuck is because they give up too soon. They quit at 40% and call it failure. But they were just 3 feet from gold. Let's be honest. Distraction is another silent killer. If I told you there was one habit, just one, that could completely transform your life in 30 days, would you try it? I'm not talking about a magic pill or some flashy morning routine you do once and forget. I'm talking about a simple, powerful shift that will rewire your thinking, sharpen your focus, and elevate everything from your confidence to your productivity. The best part? It costs you nothing. Yet, very few people actually do it. The habit is this: intentional daily reflection. Sounds simple, right? But don't mistake simplicity for weakness. Because the truth is, most people don't fail in life because of lack of talent, lack of opportunity, or even lack of time. They fail because they never pause long enough to learn from their days, to adjust their direction, or to correct what's not working. They live reactively, wake up, scroll, rush, work, worry, repeat. One day bleeds into the next, years pass in a blur, and before they know it, they're stuck in cycles they never meant to create. But when you start practicing intentional daily reflection, even just for 10 minutes, you flip the script. You stop living on autopilot. You stop repeating the same mistakes. And most importantly, you begin to live with clarity, purpose, and power. Here's how it works. At the end of each day, you take a few moments not on your phone, not while distracted, but with complete focus, and you ask yourself a few core questions. What did I do well today? What didn't go the way I wanted, and why? What did I learn about myself? What will I do differently tomorrow? That's it. But don't let the simplicity fool you. You see, this habit is like a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. They show you what's really there. And when you face the truth consistently, you grow fast. When you do this for 30 days straight, you'll start to see patterns in your behavior. You'll start noticing what triggers your procrastination, what drains your energy, what lifts your spirit, and what aligns with your goals. Most people drift. They set vague intentions and hope for the best. But hope isn't a strategy. Reflection is. Because reflection turns experience into insight. And insight is what drives true, lasting change. Let's break it down even further. When you ask yourself, what did I do well today? You're training your brain to focus on wins. Most people are wired for criticism. They only see what went wrong. But success builds on success. When you highlight what you did right, you reinforce positive habits and build self-belief. When you ask, what didn't go the way I wanted and why? You remove the emotion and get to the facts. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Maybe you scrolled on your phone for an hour when you should have been working. Maybe you snapped at someone out of stress. Okay, why? What led to it? What can you change? When you ask, what did I learn about myself? You start seeing yourself not as a fixed identity, but as a dynamic work in progress. You realize you can adapt, improve, and reinvent. That's where real growth begins. And finally, what will I do differently tomorrow? This is the action step. This is where reflection becomes transformation. You're not just thinking, you're evolving. You're upgrading your operating system one decision at a time. This habit alone separates average from extraordinary. Think about the most successful people in any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They all have one thing in common. They review, they adjust, and they grow. It's not talent that gives them the edge. It's feedback, constant feedback. And while most people wait for the world to give them feedback, these individuals create it for themselves through reflection. Here's the thing most people don't realize. You are your own greatest coach if you are willing to listen. But to listen, you need to stop. You need to ask. You need to reflect. Now, let me be clear. The habit of reflection is not always easy. In the beginning, your mind will resist. You'll feel like you're wasting time. You'll want to skip it. Some days, you'll face things you don't want to admit. Laziness, excuses, fear, distractions. But that's exactly why it works. Because when you face it, you can fix it. You can't change what you avoid. But what you confront, you can conquer. Let me give you a few powerful tips to make this stick. 1. Set a daily reminder. Choose a time, maybe right before bed or after your last task. Make it a ritual. Don't leave it to chance. 2. Keep it simple. Use a journal, a notes app, or even voice memos. Just get it out of your head and into the open. 3. Be honest but kind. This isn't about self-judgment. It's about self-leadership. You're not here to beat yourself up. You're here to level up. 4. Track patterns over time. After a week, look back. After 2 weeks, look deeper. By the end of 30 days, you'll be shocked at what you've learned. You'll start to notice how small adjustments lead to big shifts. You'll catch yourself before you fall into old habits. You'll feel more in control not of the world, but of yourself. And that's where real power begins. Let's say you want to improve your health. Reflection shows you that every time you skip the gym, it's because you stay up too late the night before. Now you know what to fix. Or maybe you want to grow a business. Through reflection, you realize you're spending too much time consuming content and not enough time creating. Boom instant clarity. This is why people who reflect daily move faster, think clearer, and rise higher. Because they aren't repeating yesterday's mistakes. They're learning, applying, and improving. And guess what? As you build this habit, other habits follow. When your awareness increases, so does your discipline. When your discipline increases, your results follow. All from one habit. Intentional daily reflection. It's not sexy, it's not trending, but it's transformative. In a world full of noise, distraction, and constant motion, this one habit slows you down just enough to ask the questions that matter. Where am I going? Am I proud of who I'm becoming? What needs to change? Starting now. You give yourself the space to pivot, to reset, to breathe. And that space. That's where breakthroughs are born. So here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, commit to this one habit. 10 minutes a day. 4 questions. Full honesty. Watch what happens. You'll feel more aligned, more confident, more grounded, more intentional. You'll stop drifting and start driving. You'll stop reacting and start leading. And day by day, you'll become the version of you that you were always meant to be, not by accident, but by choice. Because your life doesn't change in a year. It doesn't change in a week. It changes in moments. It's moments when you decide to show up for yourself. This is one of those moments. So, don't wait. Start tonight. Grab a pen, open a blank page, and write the words. What did I do well today? That one question could change everything.